Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bachelor Nation News. Fans, it's been a crazy year for Katie Thurston. She was diagnosed with breast cancer and married the love of her life in the span of 6 months. The former reality star was diagnosed with breast cancer in February. While she planned to marry her then-fiancé, Jeff R. Curry, at some point, they put their wedding on the fast track and eloped in March. He was at her side for the first few months of doctor appointments, but then had to go overseas on tour. He's finally back home, just in time for Katie Thurston's next big medical test. She's getting a body scan in July to see if the breast cancer treatment plan of oral medications is working. In the meantime, she took to social media with an update on her mental health and shared a hard truth about her life. Keep reading for all the details. Katie Thurston shares mental health update. Katie Thurston has been completely transparent about her cancer journey. She posts a lot on Instagram and the Booby broadcast channel she created about what's going on. The former reality star has become the face of breast cancer at a young age. She's only 34 and is facing a full mastectomy and forced menopause from the cancer. It's a lot to deal with. She does her best to keep up a brave front, but in her most candid moments, she admits that cancer sucks. Katie Thurston recently opened her Instagram DMs for questions from fans. One fan asked for a status update on her mental and physical health. Physically, Katie Thurston said that she's struggling with fatigue from the cancer medication. As for her mental health, she described that as okay overall. She shared that she recently read a book called You Only Die Once, which she describes as a great reframing of the phrase YOLO, you only live once. Bachelor star reveals hard truth amid cancer diagnosis. Cancer is a downer, for sure, but Katie Thurston also sees the silver lining in it. It's given her a new perspective to make the most of the life you have. She shared a quote on social media that resonated with her current outlook. Quote, "Hard truth. If you wait until you feel better to start living, you might be waiting forever." End quote. The quote continued to encourage people to live their lives even if they're anxious or uncertain. Sometimes the experience is what heals you. End quote. The former Bachelorette allows herself to mope about the diagnosis sometimes, but remains determined to keep living. She recently joined her husband at the end of his comedy tour in Europe. They're back in NYC now, and she said he'll be home for the rest of the summer. Let us know in the comments if you agree with the hard truth Katie Thurston shared. Katie Thurston had once stood beneath the dazzling lights of The Bachelorette, roses in hand and hope in her eyes. The cheers, the cameras, the drama, it all felt like a fever dream now. She had thought that love on television would translate to something solid off-screen, something real. But real life doesn't come with edits. It had been a little over 2 years since her season wrapped. Fans still remembered her boldness, her witty one-liners, her tears, and the infamous goodbye she gave to the runner-up that broke Bachelor Nation's heart. Since then, Katie had ridden waves of romance and ruin, heartbreak and healing, and a lot of Instagram ads in between. Yet something had shifted. In a heartfelt, unfiltered Instagram Live that aired late one Sunday night, Katie sat cross-legged on her couch, face clean of makeup, a worn sweatshirt hugging her frame. "I want to be real with you guys," she said, her voice cracking just slightly. "No filters, no PR spin, just me." And with that, she revealed the hard truth about her new reality. The relationship post-mortem. "I didn't expect to talk about this tonight," Katie admitted, "but I think it's time." She was referring, of course, to her last serious relationship, the one many fans thought might end in marriage. After all, they had made matching TikToks, gushed about each other in podcasts, and even hinted at buying a place together. But behind the ring light smiles, cracks had formed. "It's hard being with someone who fell in love with the TV version of you," she confessed. "And sometimes I didn't even recognize the person I became for the cameras." Katie detailed how she had tried to live up to everyone's expectations. The outspoken feminist, the sex-positive queen, the relatable bachelorette who didn't play by the rules. But being a brand instead of a person became exhausting. You start to curate your whole life just to keep the algorithm happy, and in the process, you start losing yourself. The LA illusion. After the show, Katie had moved to Los Angeles, like many before her. The city was supposed to offer opportunities, TV appearances, influencer deals, maybe even a book deal. For a while, she was invited to every party, rubbing shoulders with other Bachelor alums, Netflix stars, and a surprising number of TikTok dancers. But the glitter was a facade. Everyone was performing, even at brunch. Katie described feeling isolated in crowds, surrounded by people who spoke in hashtags and measured their self-worth by likes. She tried to keep up, posted selfies, joined trendy panels, went on staged dates at rooftop bars. But inside, something began to feel hollow. There's a loneliness that comes with being known by everyone, but truly seen by no one. The cancer scare that changed everything. Katie paused, hesitating for a long time before speaking again. "I haven't said this publicly before," she whispered, "but last fall I found a lump." Her hands trembled as she recalled the moment in the shower when her fingers brushed something that shouldn't have been there. For 3 weeks, she kept it a secret, not wanting to disrupt brand deals or upcoming speaking gigs. But when the pain worsened, she finally went in for tests. Waiting for results is like living in slow motion. You start reevaluating everything, your choices, your friendships, your entire life. Thankfully, the lump was benign, but the scare shook her to her core. I realized I didn't want my legacy to be sponsored posts and red carpet appearances. I wanted to matter beyond a viral tweet. Breaking the Bachelor mold. The realization pushed Katie into a period of deep introspection. She started therapy, deleted most of her social media for a month, and began writing in journals again. She revisited old passions, poetry, hiking, teaching. I went back to Washington for a while, to remember who I was before the roses. While fans speculated she had just taken a break from social media, Katie was in the middle of rediscovering herself. No glam squads, no pretense, just quiet mornings with coffee and nature, reconnecting with her roots. And then came the decision. Katie wasn't going to be another reality star who faded into sponsored irrelevance. She was going to reclaim her narrative. Starting over loudly. Katie announced the launch of her podcast, Unedited with Katie T. The first episode dropped without fanfare. No cross-promotion from Bachelor Nation, no clickbait teasers. Just a stripped-down 40-minute monologue titled, What They Never Let Me Say on TV. It blew up overnight. She spoke about the producer's manipulation, the pressure to pick the right guy for ratings, and how loneliness haunted her after the final rose. She didn't hold back. It wasn't bitter. It was brutally honest. And fans loved it. "I didn't realize how much I needed to hear this," one follower commented. "Thank you for telling the truth." Suddenly, Katie was no longer part of the machine. She was exposing it. The hate, the hope. With honesty came backlash. Former contestants threw subtle shade. Influencers lost partnerships just for being guests on her show. One Bachelor fan page even called her a traitor to the franchise. But Katie didn't flinch. "You know what's harder than being hated?" she asked in episode 3. "Being fake for people who would replace you in a second." She kept going. Episodes on mental health, body image, parasocial relationships, and even that awkward 12 days of messy stunt she once did. Nothing was off limits. But beyond the controversy, Katie's vulnerability sparked connection. One message from a listener stood out. Katie, because of your podcast, I left my toxic boyfriend and started therapy. Thank you for being brave. That was the moment she knew she was on the right path. Love redefined. Ironically, once Katie stopped trying to find love for the cameras, it found her in the most unexpected way. He wasn't a Bachelor alum. He wasn't verified. He didn't know the difference between Bachelor in Paradise and Love Island. He was just a school teacher from Oregon who happened to comment on one of her poetry posts. They began talking, slowly. No meet-cutes, no date cards. I told him up front, this is who I am. No edit button. And he didn't run. I used to think love was about chemistry, drama, sparks. But now I think it's about choosing someone who makes you feel safe enough to be yourself. It wasn't flashy, but it was real. The book that no one expected. Katie's raw honesty caught the attention of a publisher, and within 6 months she was offered a book deal. Tentatively titled, The Rose Was Never Real, the memoir promised to uncover more behind-the-scenes truth than Bachelor Nation had ever dared admit. It's not a tell-all, Katie clarified. It's a tell-truth. The book would chronicle everything, from her pre-Bachelor life to the final heartbreak, the mental health breakdowns, the plastic smiles, and her quiet, triumphant rebirth. And this time, she vowed no one would control her story. The new reality. Katie ended her live stream the same way she had started it, without makeup, no fancy filters, no perfect lighting. Just her. I thought fame would fix me, she said, but healing doesn't happen on red carpets. She shared her new reality, quiet mornings, passionate writing, honest conversations, and a love that didn't need public validation. My life isn't perfect, but it's mine now. As the screen faded to black, Bachelor Nation wasn't left with a cliffhanger or a teaser for a future appearance. Instead, they were left with something far more powerful: the truth. And in a world built on fantasy, Katie Thurston had chosen to live and tell the truth.